All right, good morning. Welcome to the 294th District Court. I am Judge Chris Martin. At all times today, please make sure that you maintain social distancing in the courtroom and throughout the courthouse. If you want a mask, one can be provided to you. Ask that you maintain small numbers in the common areas of the courtroom, in the hallway, the courthouse. Do not overload the elevators or the restrooms so that we can combat the spread of the COVID-19 virus. I'm going to call this morning's docket. When I call your name, I need you to say present or here so I can acknowledge you. And then I will recall your case at the appropriate time. Kenneth Davis.
Mr. Davis contacted me this morning and notified me that the audit claims was late, so hopefully he's in around.
Thank you, sir. Jerica Simpson. Johnny Cooper. Johnny Jude Cooper Jr. Aurora Halamka. Michael Hall. David Gray. David Lee Gray.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes, sir, Mr. Parrish.
Your Honor, Jason Parrish of David Gray. He is trying to link in through Zoom. He is apparently he's looking at the screen that says the proceeding will begin shortly, but I know he is.
Let me ask you a question. Did he
on a device?
I understand. Did he contact the court and request permission to appear via Zoom today?
We did yesterday, Your Honor, and we, my legal assistant, Carol, sent him the link to link in.
Okay, well, I'll recall him in a moment and see if he's in the waiting room. He may be. I have several there. Many of them are identified by their cell phone device numbers, and I don't know who's who, so I want to tell him if he's on there to enter his name so I can recognize him.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Jeffrey Berman. Jason Cravey.
Judge, after receiving a text from Mr. Cravey this morning that he works inside of Texas. He's having issues with his truck. He's going to be able to be here. So I emailed the court about if he possibly appear by Zoom, or I believe we were going to be able to resolve the case with the plea, but I was going to see if he could appear by Zoom and we could set it for a plea. Later this month,
We'll revisit that in a moment. CR 1793, Jimmy Douglas Gibson. Court has information that Mr. Gibson is currently confined in the Dallas County Jail. Travis Skinner. Jose Vela. Tristan Lane. Stormy McCoy. Eric Atkinson. Rachel Donahoe. Rachel Cheris Donahoe.
Your Honor, that's my client. She was advised on the 4th of the Zoom information that she could participate by Zoom.
Oh, she did? Okay. All right, we'll recall that to see if she's in the waiting room.
Yes, sir.
Jeannie Hughes. Jeannie K.
Your
Hughes.
Honor, Your Honor, I just spoke with Ms. Hughes. There was some confusion through her bondsman about what date, but she was given the Zoom information and told she could call in and participate by Zoom.
Tell me again, there were some issues about, what did you say?
She was advised on the 4th, again yesterday, of the Zoom information that she could participate, but her bondsman is telling her that she did not need to be there today. And then I confirmed with the court she was supposed to be there today. So she's trying to call in saying she's having difficulty.
Okay. Roderick Hunter, and I have information that Mr. Hunter is to appear via Zoom. Is that correct, Ms. Thompson? Is that correct? And she's gone. Justin Williams.
Your Honor, he was notified on the 4th and given the Zoom information to participate today too as well. And I did try to call him again yesterday, but he did not return my call.
Ms. Tabor. Steven Stamps. Although Kennedy has received information that Ms. Kennedy tested, received a test yesterday that she is. That was my understanding. She went back to my office about 5:30 yesterday. Okay, she said, I'm gonna get it. Trying to get a notice from the doctor board and talked with Mr. Nicholas, and he said that he contacted the state council, and so we're trying to get that ironed up. I don't know if she's in waiting room. Okay. We'll recall and see if she's there. Dylan Kohler. Stephen Slayton. Your Honor, Mr. Slayton. Is he on his way? We told him to get on his way, but I'm sure he's. I don't think he can down to it. All right, when I call your name, I want you to come up here and have a seat in the box. Jerica Simpson. Kenneth Davis. Is Kenneth Davis here? Aurora Halamka. Michael Hall. Spread out in that box as much as you can. Stormy McCoy. Justin Williams. Is Justin Williams here? Stephen Stamps. And Mr. Stamps, you can sit there on that first row where the bailiff's going to put you. All right, Ms. Burns, we need we need pretrial release paperwork signed by, is Stephen Flores here? No, he's going to be appearing via Zoom. So, let's see here. I want a urinalysis on Ms. Simpson. Mr. Hall, he didn't report in November. Ms. Alamka didn't report in November. I want them drug tested. And then we're going to discuss their delinquencies on their pretrial release issues. And then I believe the rest need to sign their conditions of pretrial release. All right, counsel, do we have anyone that has a client in the courtroom that's ready? Mr. Smith, you'll step up to the podium. Mr. Smith, are you ready?
Tristan Lane, Judge.
Mr. Lane, if you'll make your way to the center podium, please. All right, I show that Mr. Lane is set for docket call on each one of his 4 cases. Mr. Schmidt, you have an announcement for the court.
I do, Judge. We've negotiated with the state. Negotiations were unsuccessful. Now it's ready for trial.
All right, and Mr. Schmidt. That moving past the docket call date could result in the court not entertaining any plea agreement in the future.
I have, Judge.
All right, Mr. Schmidt, I'm going to order that Mr. Lane appear for jury selection on Monday, February 1st at 8:30 a.m. in the basement of the courthouse. As you are familiar with the court's policy, you're not required to be here unless you receive notice that Mr. Lane is in the court's top 10 for trial. Lane will report in the basement and will be greeted by courthouse staff.
Yes, sir. That's all I have, Judge. Can I be excused?
Yes, sir. Mr. Schmidt. Do we have anyone else that's present in the courtroom with counsel? Mr. Stevens.
Eric Atkinson, Your Honor, again, I'll take the picture.
Mr. Atkinson, if you'll make your way to the center podium, please, sir. This is CR 20147. Court shows that Mr. Atkinson is set for pretrial today.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Are there any pretrial matters?
No formal pretrial matters, Your Honor.
All right. Court will set Mr. Atkinson then for docket call. On January 7th at 9 a.m. Mr. Mr. Atkinson, once you sign and receive the yellow notice here, you'll be free to go. All right, Mr. Stevens, do you have anything else in this case?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Any other clients today? Do we have any other counsel that's ready with an in-person defendant? All right, who are you ready on?
Mr. Cole.
Mr. Kohler, CR 2172, you'll come to the center podium. All right, court shows that we're set for pretrial today.
We are set for pretrial, Your Honor. I have contacted Ms. Heisel, and I've got some information I'm trying to get together to give her. I would ask the court for a 30-day reset so I can get that reset for pretrial.
Any objection from the state?
No, Your Honor.
All right, court will reset pretrial Mr. Kohler's case to January 7th, 9 a.m. You have anyone else, Mr. White?
Not in the courtroom, Your Honor.
Mr. Jeff White, are you ready on Mr. Stamps?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Stamps, if you'll make your way to the center podium. This is CR 2272, State versus Stephen Wade Stamps, set for pretrial.
That's correct, Your Honor. I filed three particular motions that I filed traditionally in every case. I don't believe the state has any opposition to any of those. I would ask that we could have some time to be able to discuss this case. This is a case that could involve, it's charged with criminal mischief, but it could involve community property. And since I can't even spell family law anymore, I'm having to get Mr. Elliott to kind of probably help me with this case as far as determining whether or not it is community property and have an opportunity to present that to the state.
Are there any objections by the state to Mr. White's 3 pretrial motions?
Your Honor, it does not appear that the state has received those. However, it is the 3 motions Mr. White commonly files. So the state would have no objection at this time, but we would ask to reserve objection for when we are actually served with a copy.
All right, court will grant that to the state should there be an issue. Mr. White, how do you serve those on the state? Via e-file?
I just take them directly to them. And I believe I did last week, but I could be wrong.
How do you file them with the court? Are you e-filing?
I e-file them with the court, but I haven't figured out how to e-serve, so I just walk them over.
All right, then the court will set Mr. Stamps for, you don't need an additional pretrial setting.
I don't
You just need
believe so.
time to get that information. Okay. Court will set this for docket call on January 26th at 9 a.m. Mr. Stamps, the court is going to have you sign this document, your notice of appearance, and you'll receive that yellow copy. After you're done, come over here and have a seat in the box, and we're going to have you sign your conditions of pretrial release with the Community Supervision Department, okay? And they'll have more information for you. Have any questions, ask Mr. White. Mr. Gimbel, do you have any clients in the courtroom? Anyone other than her?
And Mr. Davis was my client who contacted me. The ride that he had arranged
Mr. Sanders, do you have anyone in the courtroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who do you have?
Travis.
Mr. Skinner? Center podium, please. CR 20-226, CR 20-65. Show that we're set for arraignment on the bail jumping. Is that correct?
Judge, I think
We arraigned him last time.
I think we did. Yes, so I think it probably should be pretrial on that, and then docket call for the other. Judge, I don't have any pretrial issues on the bail jumping case. I would ask if we could put both on a docket call for sometime in January. Still need to talk with the state some more about. Actually, I don't think we have a plea offer at this point, so if we have a little bit more time to see if we can get something worked out on the case.
All right, court will set Mr. Skinner for docket call in each case on January 26th. Once Mr. Skinner signs his notice of appearance and receives the other copy, he's free to go. Are you ready, Mr. Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor? The CR 20-143 and 273, State versus Jose Luis Vela, set for pretrial today.
Yes, Your Honor, and Judge, we don't have any pretrial issues with either case. We just ask for it to be set for docket call in January.
All right, court will set Mr. Vela for docket call on. Do you want any more time? Do you believe you could be ready by the 7th for docket call?
Maybe to be safe, Judge, if we could put it also on the 26th.
All right, court will set docket call January 26th, each cause. We'll go ahead and call CR 1793, State versus Jimmy Douglas Gibson. We were set for status here on Dallas County, and he's been confirmed by court staff that he's still in Dallas County. So we'll reset that also for the same status on January 26th.
Okay. And Judge, Mr. Gibson and I have been able to communicate in writing. I know that they have in Dallas County Jail some sort of way to communicate. I think it would just be by phone or but whatever system they have set up, I've tried, and I've even talked to a couple folks there, and nothing has worked out. But even at that, I don't think they have any way of doing a Zoom hearing where we could get his case resolved. So
This is a motion to revoke, correct?
yes, that's correct.
Well, we'll see where he's at on the 26th.
Okay.
Keep on kicking the can if he's not here. And let's revisit Mr. Cravey while you're
Okay.
here. Now, this is the one that you indicated that he was he set to plead today?
Well, he was set for docket call today, and then in talking with the state and talking with him, I believe we had an agreement all worked out. And so, like I said, I think he texted sometime a little before 5 this morning. I was not awake to see it, but just indicated he's having vehicle issues. And so that's why I was just checking to see if he could appear by Zoom today and set it for a plea. And I don't think it'd be any problem, at least for me anyway, if we even set it for a plea the 15th or the 17th. I think I'm over here maybe both of those days anyway next week, if that would work.
Is there any objection from the state for the defendant appearing via Zoom today for the purpose that Mr. Sanders has stated?
No, you're.
And do you know, Mr. Sanders, if he signed into the online courtroom?
Oh, no, because I hadn't been able to send him the link yet.
All right, go ahead and send him the link and we'll have his appearance.
Okay.
And are you ready on Mr. Bergman?
Yes.
We have the paper. Is that a plea?
Yes, it is, Your Honor. And I think we had everything completed last time.
This may be it.
So I think we should maybe have everything already turned in.
I don't have any paperwork, Mr. Berman.
Okay.
Who did the paperwork get turned into?
I think maybe the DA's office, because I received 2 papers from the DA's office yesterday. I thought it was a blank set for us to redo, but it was actually a copy of what we'd already signed last time. So I don't know.
That's correct, Your Honor. The DA's office emailed Mr. Sanders the paperwork that was completed in court last time, but with a new judgment. The issue last time was with his interstate compact, which is why we didn't proceed with the full plea last time. So I don't believe the paperwork would need to be re-executed, just the judgment be corrected to show a conviction date of today.
We didn't correct.
No, Your Honor. Mr. Sanders and I prepared to go forward with the plea, and then we realized we couldn't because of the interstate compact timeline.
I think maybe the original then might be it.
What Mr. Sanders is saying is he doesn't have any paperwork. Do you have the paperwork?
Judge, I do have the originals. I can scan them over to the court and have the court print them there if that's acceptable, or if Mr. Sanders wants to come pick them up. Either way.
I can just go pick them up.
We'll go pick them up. That'll
Yeah.
help. I think the staff's
That'll work.
taking other. All right, so we'll recall. You'll let me know when Mr. Berman's ready, and then you'll let me know when Mr. Cravey
Yes.
stopped it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead and get that sent in first, and then go pick up the original.
And Miss McCoy, where's Miss McCoy? Are you Miss McCoy? Is Mr. Steele here? Your attorney? Why don't you step out in the hallway? Did he tell you he wasn't coming today? Why don't you step out in the hallway and call him again and come back in and let us know? Aaron, would you do me a favor? Would you check on Mr. Gimbel's client? That is Miss Simpson.
She's ready.
Oh, is she? I'm sorry, Miss Simpson. I thought you were on this side. Miss Simpson, if you'll step up. The CR 2225 State versus Jerica Dion Simpson, and we're set for pretrial today.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Any contested pretrial motions?
We have no pretrial issues. However, the defense does not have discovery complete. We do have the 911 calls and the body cam videos, but as far as the documents, police reports and so forth, defense has not received any of that documentation.
Response from the state?
Judge, I'm looking right now to see if that, it looks like Mr. Gimbel's correct. It was there. It is being sent to the portal as we speak.
So you wouldn't be in a position to know if you have any pretrial motions because you haven't seen them.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Bailiff, will you ask Ms. Burns to step in here so I can get an update on Simpson's UA? Ms. Simpson, the court shows that you are delinquent on your pretrial release conditions for your payment for your supervision fees. You understand that you've been placed on conditions of pretrial release, meaning that you bonded out of jail, and the court conditioned your bond on several things. One, that you report and that you pay for your supervisions, that you pay for the court-appointed attorney fees. The court showing that you're delinquent $280. You're aware of that?
Yes, because I haven't been getting my check and stuff out of Corona going on. The Social Security office ain't open, so I only get a check on it.
Ms. Burns, is there an update on the urinalysis from Mrs.?
Yes, sir. She did test positive for marijuana and meth, but then packaged it up in case she wanted to send it off to the lab. She is on prescription medications. I asked her to bring those into her office. She did admit to smoking marijuana. She did not use it.
About how long will it take to get that back but do you also need her medication before that goes on? All right, Ms. Simpson, I'm going to reset your case for pretrial on December 17th. And Mr. Gimbel, I don't expect you to have your pretrial motions filed by then. You just got discovery today. Under the code, barely have the 7 days necessary to file before the hearing. So I'm not going to require that pretrial issue to be resolved on that date. However, I am going to take Ms. Simpson's positive urinalysis presumption at this point. We're going to send that off to the lab. We're going to address that on the 17th. And if the court is able to confirm that Ms. Simpson is violating the conditions of her pretrial release, we're going to take that matter up on that date and determine whether or not her bond is sufficient at this time, meaning I may put her in jail on the 17th.
Understand, Your Honor.
Right, so we'll go ahead and have her fill out that notice of appearance to reappear for pretrial on December 17th. Thank you, Ms. Burns. All right, Ms. Simpson, you're free to go. We'll see you next Thursday, 9 a.m. Mr. Davis is still not here. Is that correct, Mr. Gimbel?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, sir. Good morning, Mr. Bingham. I believe you're still muted. Mr. Bingham.
Sorry, apologize. How are you, Judge?
Doing fine, doing fine. I have not pulled in all of the unknown iPhone identities from the online waiting room. However, my record reflects that your defendant, your client, Mr. Matthew John Kearns, is going to appear via Zoom today. Is that correct?
That's my understanding that, okay, and that he was, and my legal assistant said he's on there, but I don't see him.
Well, you're not going to see him because he's in the waiting room. So I've got about half a dozen or more cell phones that are not identified. So it's going to be looks like it's going to be a turkey shoot here. So I'm going to bring them in.
Okay.
Let me know when you see him because I'm not going to know him.
Okay. Right there. Judge, he's there. He's muted.
Mr. Kearns, if you can raise your hand for me. Keep it up there for me. All right, so you can put it down. All right, court call CR 2130, State versus Matthew John Kearns. We're set for docket call today. Mr. Bingham, any announcement from the defense?
Judge, we're obviously present and we're ready to proceed if the court is. We filed pretrial motions. If the state wants to continue the hearing, we have no objection to that either.
Is there a proposed plea? Are we requesting a jury trial, bench trial, negotiation ceased?
Your Honor, at this time, Mr. Bingham, Ms. Tonda or Ms. Curry asked me to announce to the court that the state is requesting an additional setting at this time. We are trying to sit down and meet with the victim, who is a bank, regarding the restitution amount. I do believe that will severely impact our ability to resolve this case. So the state is going to ask for an additional setting at this time.
And Mr. Kearns, I need you to take your sunglasses off, sir. Thank you, sir. And I need you to take them off your head as well. Thank you, sir. All right. Then but how long do you think that may take, Ms. Heisel?
Your Honor, because it is a bank and with the holidays, we would ask for either that last setting in January or that first week in February.
All right, court will reset Mr. Kearns then for docket call on January 26th. You got any scheduling issues that day, Mr. Bingham?
Judge, I don't believe so. Let me I have a trial setting at 9 a.m., but I believe those are going to be moved. So I don't believe I have any conflicts.
Okay. All right, then the court sets Mr. Kearns for January 26th at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, Mr. Kearns, this will be the only notice you receive from the court. Your failure to appear on that date will result in the court issuing a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand? All right, and the record will reflect that Mr. Kearns is muted online. However, the court acknowledged his acknowledgement of the court's admonishment. You're free to go, Mr. Kearns. Thank you, Mr. Bingham.
Thank you, Judge. Could I ask the court one more? I see Mr. Downs is set today. Myself and Mr. Biggs had previously represented him. We did file a motion to withdraw, which I believe the court granted, that Mr. Downs agreed with, and it was one for myself and Mr. Biggs. But I noticed that Mr. Biggs is still listed as counsel on his case. I just want to let the court know that the motion to withdraw had both our names in it for Mr. Downs.
Yes, that's the court's understanding. It probably just hasn't been detached from the system yet that the documents are printed from. But court is aware that the court has signed the order allowing the withdrawal of both you and Mr. Biggs.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Biggs.
Appreciate it. Have a good day.
You too. Ms. Beasley, are you ready on Ms. Borchardt?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Before we begin, the rest of you that are appearing online, if your name is not appearing on your screen, will you please enter your name into your device? If you can't, then we'll make that modification. And Mr. Still, if you will you put a jacket and a tie on me for court, sir? Or the best that you can, since we're appearing in the courtroom. Go ahead, Ms. Beasley.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Borchardt is the case that Ms. Heisel has agreed to dismiss the case. And this is the one at the last setting that the court was going to require her to pay her $500 attorney's fees prior to signing the dismissal.
Well, let me correct the record on that. I don't think the court was going to require her to pay. The court inquired of her whether she could pay, and she said that she could. And the court said she would like to see her pay. The court never said it was going to require her to pay for a dismissal.
Okay. She has sent the...
Unless you recall differently, Ms. Beasley.
I know that she needs to pay the $500, and she agreed to pay it, Judge.
Okay.
She has sent the money. I sent an email to the court and to the DA's office with proof that she sent it on November, I believe, the 23rd. They somehow or another sent it to another state, and it's now being forced to go back to Florida, and it's expected to arrive to Carl Waddell supposedly on Thursday.
Thursday of this week.
And I've sent proof not only of the receipt that she gave me, but also proof of the expected delivery.
Okay. Well, then let's just reset her case for a couple of weeks, and she can appear via Zoom. And if it arrives on Thursday and the court receives that, then the court will just sign the order, and she'll be instructed she'll be free not to appear.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Burchard, we'll reset your case. Today is the 8th. We'll reset your case to January 7th. That way there's plenty of time between now and then. And if you get notified from the court staff or Ms. Beasley that you do not need to appear, then that will be sufficient for you, okay? And it's sufficient for the court, okay? All right, and the court's going to let the record reflect that you're appearing online, that the court could not audibly hear you, but that you shook your head yes, that you acknowledged that your next court date is January 7th via Zoom at 9 a.m. All right, thank you, Ms. Beasley. Thank you, Ms. Borchardt. You're free to go, Ms. Borchardt.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And Ms. Beasley, you also have Michael Carrier. Is that correct? Mr. Carrier, are you online? Raise your hand if you are. Ms. Beasley, do you see Mr. Carrier? I have a note that he's to appear via Zoom.
He is, Your Honor. He is having trouble. We've talked yesterday and today. This will be the first time he's ever tried to appear by Zoom on anything. And so he's having trouble with technology. He has communicated with me. I had to actually jump off earlier. He's got the meeting ID number, but I don't think I haven't heard back from him. I've been trying to communicate with him through emails, and I think he's having trouble signing on with his phone.
Okay.
He's 65, Your Honor, and us older folks sometimes have trouble with technology.
But he did request to appear via Zoom, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So he knew he was going to have to cross this bridge.
Right, Your Honor. And I've already explained to him that if he couldn't sign on, he would have to run down to the courtroom here in person.
Okay. All right. We'll see if he gets signed in then. And if you hear anything that's going to change that, you just let me know.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Parrish. Let's see here. All right, is Mr. David Gray in the online courtroom? If you are, please raise your hand. All right, you can put it down. Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Parrish, we're set for a motion to revoke on Mr. Gray's case today. Any announcement?
Your Honor, Mr. Gray currently has a matter out of Gregg County that I'm trying to get resolved. And what I'm trying to do is work out basically a resolution that would take into account the revocation of probation along with his new case. We were set today to see if there was any movement on the Gregg County matter, which is alleged in the violation. Well, actually, I think it's an application to proceed to final adjudication. There was a new possession of marijuana offense. That case has not been indicted or filed in yet. I'm currently attempting to get a resolution out of Gregg County on that matter. So we are going to request an extension of time on the application to proceed.
Any objection from the state?
No, Your Honor, that's fine.
Okay, the court will reset Mr. Gray's motion to revoke to January 26th at 9 a.m. And Mr. Gray, I would remind you that you're still on probation here in Van Zandt County. which means you're still required to report, you're still required to pay your community supervision office, you're still required not to be drinking alcohol. You can't violate any of your conditions of community supervision. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
You're still on probation. Just because they filed a motion doesn't mean that you're free to do whatever you want. The state could always amend their motion and reallege any new violations. So it's important that you stay in strict compliance. You understand?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Gray, this will be the only notice that you receive from the court. Since you're not here today, I can't give you a piece of paper. So I'm telling you now in open court that on January 26th, you're to be back. And just as a reminder to everyone, you're not allowed to appear via Zoom unless the court grants you that at your hearing, or that you call in and you contact court staff, and court staff says that you as the defendant are allowed to appear via Zoom. Okay? So if counsel calls in and counsel asks if they can appear via Zoom, that's a separate issue than whether or not an accused person or defendant can appear via Zoom. So that's just a general announcement to everyone. So, Mr. Gray, you're free to go. We'll see you here on January 26th at 9 a.m. unless you're granted permission from the court to appear via Zoom.
All right.
Anything else, Mr. Parrish?
That's all I have, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Gamble, are you ready? Yeah. Who are you ready on? All right. This is CR 24-7, State versus Kenneth James Davis. We're set for pretrial today. Have you received the discovery in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are there any contested pretrial motions?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Court will set Mr. Davis then for docket call on January 7th at 9 a.m. Mr. Davis, I'm going to have you step forward here to sign your notice.
He's already signed it, Your Honor.
Okay. Go ahead and give him the yellow copy. Mr. Davis, your bondsman has requested a warrant to be issued for your arrest associated with your bond in this case. So you have a warrant at this time and you're going to be taken into custody. Okay. So this is an issue between you and your bondsman. Your bondsman requested the warrant. Okay. So you'll need to take up that issue with your bondsman. Ms. Thompson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any of your clients here in the online courtroom?
Ms. Donahoe, Rachel Donahoe should be, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Donahoe, are you raising your hand right now? Okay, let me put your name in here so I can identify you.
I didn't know how to do it.
All right, court calls CR 20-242-243, State versus Rachel Cheris Donahoe, and we are set for pretrial today. Ms. Thompson, go ahead.
Your Honor, we don't have any pretrial matters. We have a plea agreement. The state was not able to get the plea papers ready in time, so we just need to reset for a plea date.
Okay, so there's no contested pretrial motions. Court will have the record reflect that, and we will set for plea on January 7th.
January 7th.
Any conflict with that date, Ms. Thompson?
No, sir, I do not believe so.
Okay. So, Ms. Donahoe, January 7th at 9 a.m., you'll appear before the court to enter your plea, and this will be the only notice you receive from the court. Your failure to appear that day will result in the court issuing a warrant for your arrest. Okay, so you're free to go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else, Ms. Thompson?
No, sir. Miss Hughes is en route to court. Also contacted Justin Williams. He didn't get my message yesterday, but he is now en route to court as well.
And so, Ms. Thompson, have all of these clients of yours, have they received permission to appear via Zoom, or were they just given a link and told to Zoom in?
And they were just given a link yonder. The fault lies with me. I misunderstood. I thought that when I got the information for Zoom, they could all appear by Zoom. So I'm responsible for that.
Okay, so yeah, you understand the court's policy is not, it's going to allow counsel to appear via Zoom because routinely I don't have to drug test counsel, and I don't have to get payments from attorneys. I don't have bond forfeiture warrants for attorneys usually. Okay, so
I understand. I understand that now, Your Honor.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Roger Hunter was also scheduled for pretrial today, Your Honor.
Okay,
I've not heard from him.
Well, he's here. He's here online. He's there. I see him. He's raised his hand. Can you see him, Ms. Thompson? There he is. All right. So the court call Court call CR 20169, State versus Roderick Cantrell Hunter, and the court does show that Mr. Hunter was approved to appear via Zoom, and we're set for pretrial today. And if you can't see him, Ms. Thompson, you may have to toggle to your left or your right on your screen, or you may have to go to a gallery view. Mr. Hunter, can you unmute your device, please? There you go.
Your
All right.
Honor, I
Go
do
ahead.
see him now. Your Honor, I have also filed a motion to withdraw from Mr. Hunter's case due to some ethical allegations he is alleged against me for misconduct. I don't believe that we can establish trust or that I can represent him.
And when did you file that?
December the 2nd, Your Honor, after multiple attempts to try to get him to call.
All right, Mr. Hunter, I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand. Sir, do you swear that the testimony you give to the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, you may put your hand down. Mr. Hunter, do you understand that Ms. Thompson has filed a motion to withdraw as your counsel in this case?
Yes, sir.
And is there an issue between you and Ms. Thompson? You understand that you requested the court to appoint you an attorney because you could not afford one. The court found you to be indigent, and the court appointed Ms. Thompson.
Yes,
are
sir.
you going to retain your own attorney to represent you?
No, sir. She did not try to contact me, but I have been trying to call. I talked to my bum about trying to get another attorney. I was telling her what was going on, and I brought my witnesses down there when I came last month to get a statement. She wouldn't even take their statements or nothing. She was like, she wouldn't take. I had they right there. I had their written statements. I had already mailed them in too. She said she didn't get them. I mailed them in twice. They notarized statements. All the information that I would have needed, all my proof evidence and all that. But now I got it. I still got the people. They wouldn't. I still got their papers. I still got everything. I got all my witnesses and all. But she wouldn't even take their statements. And I had brought them people way from Mississippi to down there that day. And she wouldn't even take their statements. I'm like, man, we did. Then, the police had stopped us that morning down the street and detained us to,
Wait, unless I don't want you to tell me your evidence, okay? And I don't think you want to share all of your evidence here in front of the state's attorneys, okay? So I want to know, are you in the same position and belief that Ms. Thompson is, that you and she cannot work together?
No, sir.
Do you believe?
I just couldn't get my information to her, and she was busy. She kept saying she was busy, and I was like, okay.
All right, thank you.
Like I said, I'm in Mississippi.
Do you want Ms. Thompson to remain as counsel on your case?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Thompson, would you like to respond?
Your Honor, it's got some trust issues there when I'm being accused of destroying evidence that I never received. When I'm being accused of conspiring with the district attorney's office, I don't see how I can represent this person.
And are these accusations formal accusations? The state bar or the clerk or anyone else, or is this what's being told to you?
It's been told to me in letters, Your Honor, and also in person.
Did you attach those letters to your motion to withdraw as counsel?
No, but I can do so.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to reset this so that you can put forth all evidence that you believe would support your motion so the court can make a decision. We're going to reset the motion to withdraw as counsel. We'll reset Mr. Hunter also for pretrial on on January 7th. Mr. Hunter, I'm going to grant you permission to appear via Zoom on January 7th.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you'll need to receive the court's Zoom ID on that date. So you'll need to get that from your attorney, Ms. Thompson. She can provide that to you. Ms. Thompson, it can be provided by Ms. Tabraham. And Mr. Hunter, if you don't receive that information, you can contact the court and receive it.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, may I ask a question?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
The letters that you're recommending that I attach to the motion to withdraw does have confidential information in it. Do I just
Follow that
submit the portions, sir?
You can either file that ex parte if you want, or you can excise anything that you think would be attorney-client privilege or anything that you think could be used against him, and just
Okay.
highlight the portions and just provide the relevant parts that you believe create the trust issue that you stated between yourself and your client.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to reappear on January 7th on this motion to withdraw and for pretrial. You understand, Mr. Hunter?
Yes, sir.
All right, you're free to go. Mr. Hunter, I'm going to also tell you that the court's records reflect that you are delinquent $180 for your payments on your pretrial release that go for your supervision and they go for your court-appointed attorney reimbursement.
John, I be mailing this stuff in, but like she said, that she didn't get that mail, which I don't know why. But when I mail stuff down there, I mail my payment in. I mailed the paper that they gave me that I have to mail my probation officer. I mailed all that in. But she said she didn't get that mail, and evidently they must didn't get there. I mailed all the letters off the same day, which I told her I mailed 3 letters off that day. One was to my PO for the payment, and the letter that I had to send to show that I appeared for my probation hearing. I was out of state, and I sent the letter to her with my witnesses' statements and sworn testimony.
Okay.
But she said she didn't receive them neither. But I sent the money order.
Well, let's revisit that on the 7th. Okay, so you'll need to contact your pretrial supervision officer and try to get that figured out. I don't know what to tell you.
Yes, sir. I'm finna call him now.
Okay. All right. So you're free to go. We'll see you back on January 7th on Zoom at 9 a.m.
Yes, sir.
All right. And do we have Jeannie Hughes? Not yet. Is that correct, Ms. Thompson?
That's correct, Your Honor. She's en route.
Okay. All right. We'll recall her if she appears. And Mr. Williams. Do we have Justin Williams?
He's en route, Your Honor.
He's en route also?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, Mr. Steele, are you ready?
Yes, Judge, I'm ready. I don't have a tie in my office. I apologize for that. I'll make sure I have a tie next time.
Thank you, sir. Ms. McCoy, if you'll step up to the center podium, please. Microphone. All right, Ms. McCoy, can you see your attorney, Mr. Steele, there on the court scan?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and can you just raise your hand so we can see that Mr. Steele can see you? Raise your hand, Ms. McCoy. Can you see her? Mr. Steele? She's in the...
Oh, yeah. Okay, yes, Judge.
Okay. All right, and we are set for, this is CR 2262, and we're set for pre-trial today. Mr. Steele, have you received the discovery in the case?
Judge, I don't believe that I have, but that's probably my fault. I just got hired on this case. I'm new on this case, and I imagine that's probably my fault. I've been on this case less than 30 days, I believe.
Have you reached out to the state to get discovery?
I have not, Judge. I will do that today. I'll do today.
Because they have online discovery portal. You sign up, they can give you information on that. I just don't want any more delays in the case. Typically, what happens is they get indicted. We set arraignment, 30 days off, and then after arraignment, then we set pretrial 30 days off. So we're probably between 60 and 90 days into this case, and it concerns me that we don't have discovery even 30 days after.
Can I holler at my secretary real fast, and she may know that we have it. So can I just see?
Well, no, because it's not going to make a difference, because what I was looking for today was an announcement of whether or not there were any contested pretrial motions. You're not familiar with it, so you haven't filed any potential pretrial motions, motion to suppress, motion to quash, anything of that nature. So court's going to reset this for pretrial on January 7th. And if you have it, then you're in a position to file those motions. If you don't, you can get into position.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to have Ms. McCoy sign the notice of appearance stating that she will reappear on January 7th at 9 a.m.
Yes, sir. Yes, Judge.
And then, Mr. Steele, I'm also going to have Ms. McCoy sign her conditions of pretrial release, which are associated with her bail in this case. And if you want a copy of that, I can have my staff email you a copy. But in summary, it's conditions of pretrial release related to non-commission of new offenses, your analysis exams, reporting to the pretrial supervision officer, things of that nature.
Yeah, I don't need that, Judge. If you want to send it to me, that's fine, but I do not need that. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Steele, do you need anything further from your client at this time, Ms. McCoy?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. McCoy, have you signed your conditions of pretrial release? Have you met with the staff and you've received your copies?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're free to go. We'll see you back on January 7th. Thank you, Mr. Steele.
Judge, I think I have one more client.
Oh, do you?
I think. Kobe Cole, is he somewhere there?
I don't see you on the docket.
He might have been. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't see you on the docket, but give me a moment and I can look him up for you.
Okay.
Last name is Cole, C-O-L-E.
Yeah, C-O-L-E, Kobe, C-O-B-I-E. It could have been reset. I'm sorry, Judge. Or could it, honestly, Judge,
I show him set on the 10th, Thursday at 9.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
May be excused.
Yes, sir, you may.
Thank you.
Mr. Manning, are you ready? Mr. Hall? Mr. Hall, right? Come on down here to the center podium. All right, this is CR 2251, State versus Michael Carl Hall, and we're set for a pretrial today.
Yes, Judge. We were appointed on this case back in the end of October. I met with Mr. Hall here in court. I received discovery and reviewed that discovery. At this time, we have no pretrial matters. I've requested my client come in and meet with me. We haven't been able to at this point in time. And I believe there was a little bit of miscommunication, possibly on my part, about reporting pretrial release last time we met. He thought he was reporting here in court. His next court date wasn't obviously until today. So we've ironed that out. He understands that he is required to report the pretrial release. I've also spoken to the person he's with today about reporting, and she is willing to help him remember that as well.
Do we have the results of your analysis exam?
Yes, Judge.
we have any information on Mr. Michael Hall's analysis? And what is that? Positive for what? Mr. Hall, you were aware that you were on conditions of pretrial release.
Yes, sir, but I really did not understand most of it because I've never been on pretrial before.
All right, the court's going to conduct a hearing on Mr. Hall's alleged violation of pretrial release. Okay, so I'm going to recall that case in just a few moments. Allow the state opportunity to speak with Community Supervision Office and defense as well. All right, so Mr. Hall, come on back up here and have a seat in the box. I'll recall your case in a few moments. Who else is video?
Salamka.
Slamka?
And I haven't spoken to pretrial release about her situation yet.
Do we have any results on Ms. Slamka's UA? Thank you, sir. Court call CR 2165, State versus Aurora May Lamka, and we're set for pretrial. Are there any, you have discovery in this case, Mr. May?
Yes, Judge. My client and I have gone over discovery. She's provided me with some information both previously and today that I would like to speak to the prosecutor about. Other than that, at this point, we have no contested pretrial matters in this case.
All right, court will set Ms. Lamka then for docket call. Do you have any conflicts on January 7th, Mr. Manning?
I believe I'm set in the for a felony trial in Kaufman County, but let me double check that. You said the 7th of January?
The 7th, yes.
I am good on the 7th.
All right, court sets Ms. Lamka then for docket call on January 7th at 9 a.m. Court also had Ms. Lamka undergo your analysis test. Is there any information?
Yes, Your Honor, she did test. She had a very, very faint.
Does that incur an additional cost?
Your Honor, I didn't catch that. It was very faint for what? I'm sorry.
Methamphetamine.
Meth, yes. She had a trace, well, I'm sorry, not a trace. She had a very faint line appear on the methamphetamine, so I packaged it up and sent off to the lab.
Did you hear that, Mr.
Thank you. Yes, sir. I got that, Your Honor. Thanks.
And Judge, I believe that my client informed me that she does have a list of medications she's going to be providing Ms. Burns in case there may be some cross-contamination with those medications.
All right. Well, Ms. Lamka also has a warrant for her arrest for a surrender of principal on this. Apparently, there's some issues between her and her bondsman. So there is an active warrant. So we're going to go ahead and take you into
My
custody.
bondsman said I was good on that, actually.
Your bondsman has not indicated that to the court.
If I may have a moment to talk to my client as well as talk to the bondsman.
We're going to go ahead and take her into custody, and then if that issue is resolved, right now that there's an outstanding warrant that's been confirmed by the sheriff's office. Mr. White, Mr. Sanders? Yes, sir. Either one of you ready? I'm ready. We're going rock, paper, scissors, Rochambeau. Who are you ready on, Mr.?
No, none of that.
Who are you ready on?
Your Honor, if the state doesn't object, Mr. Slayton is on his way. I'd ask the court to call Mr. Slayton at 1:30.
He's your West Texas bond.
Well, I'm not sure. He was in the job site about it.
Any objection from the state to allow Mr. Stephen Kyle Slayton to appear at 1:30?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, then the court will recall his case at 1:30. And are you on the jail log this afternoon?
I am, Your Honor. No, and I believe, and I don't know if the board has seen, my client, Ms. Kennedy, took a COVID test yesterday. Dr. Nixon provided her a note saying she did that. He had not been able to get in touch with her. For what it's worth, she told me yesterday when she said she was feeling bad, so I don't know, maybe she was asleep. We all tried to contact her.
Well, let's communicate to her that she can appear at 1:30 via Zoom. Let's try to have her appear at 1:30. If she doesn't, then we'll revisit it at 1:30.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'll see you later.
All right, Mr. Sanders. Right, it's Mr. Berman here. Is that Mr. Berman, if you'll come to the middle podium, please. Thanks, Sir Gilman. Ms. Heisel, you were saying that this was a case that we had called previously, that we had questions about the interstate compact that stalled the completion of the plea. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor, but I don't believe we ever got formally started with the plea. I believe Ms. Burns intervened when she prepared the conditions of probation.
Okay, so did it ever come before the court then on the beginning of the plea at all?
To the best of my knowledge, we never started with the plea.
Okay. All right, this is CR 27-3, State of Texas versus Jeffrey Frederick Berman Jr. Mr. Berman, if you will, raise your right hand, sir. I'm going to place you under oath. Sir, do you swear that the testimony you give to the court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So if you got,
I do, yes.
All right, you may put your hand down. And you are Jeffrey Frederick Berman Jr.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Berman, are you a United States citizen?
I am, yes, sir.
Do you read, write, and speak English?
I do, yes, sir.
Have you ever been diagnosed with any type of mental condition?
Yes, sir.
In this case, you're represented by your attorney, Mr. Jeff Sanders. Are you pleased with his representation of you?
I am, yes, sir.
Do you feel like you've had sufficient time to meet with him to discuss your case and have all of your legal questions answered?
I have, yes, sir.
Is there anything about the paperwork and the plea today that you do not understand?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Sanders, do you believe the defendant to be competent today?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe he is.
And do you have you explained to him all of his legal and constitutional rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Berman, you've been charged by indictment with the state jail felony offense of possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1, less than 1 gram, a state jail felony offense. That level of felony carries a range of punishment of not less than 6 months or more than 2 years confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice State Jail Division and a fine not to exceed $10,000. Do you understand that range?
Yes, sir, I do.
Now, I see that there is a recommendation in the proposed plea agreement is that you would plead guilty to that charge in exchange for the state's recommendation that your confinement be assessed at the maximum 2 years confinement in that state jail. However, the state is recommending to the court that that punishment be suspended, that sentence be suspended, and you be placed on community supervision or probation for a period of 2 years with a $2,000 fine and $180 court costs. In addition, you would have $535 reimbursement fee to the county. Is that your understanding of the plea agreement?
Yes, sir.
And that's what you want to enter into today?
That is correct, yes, sir.
And Mr. Sanders, does that sound correct to you?
Yes, Your Honor, that is.
All right, Mr. Berman, at this time, I'm going to ask you, how do you plead to the state jail felony offense of possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1, less than 1 gram?
Guilty.
And Mr. Berman, are you pleading guilty because, in fact, you are guilty of that offense and for no other reason?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Berman, has anyone threatened you, forced you, or pressured you to make you feel like you had to plead guilty to this offense?
Yes, sir.
All right, the court will accept Mr. Berman's plea of guilt. Mr. Sanders, any objection to states 1, the stipulation of evidence in this cause?
No objection.
All right, court admits states 1 and takes judicial notice of the defendant's judicial confession. Is there anything further from the state?
No, Your Honor. State would rest and close.
Thank you. Anything further from the defense?
Just let the court know, in talking with Ms. Burns at probation, I believe everything is squared away to get the interstate compact set up, so we should be in good shape getting all those details taken care of.
Good. All right, based on the review of the evidence, the court finds that there is sufficient evidence to convict Mr. Berman of this offense. The court will follow the plea agreement and recommendation from the state. The court hereby convicts Mr. Berman of the state jail felony offense of possession of controlled substance in penalty group 1, less than 1 gram. Assesses his punishment at 2 years confinement in TDCJ State Jail Division, suspends that sentence, places Mr. Berman on community supervision for a period of 2 years, assesses a $2,000 fine, $180 restitution, $535 reimbursement fee, and $290 court costs. Mr. Berman, have you ever been on probation before?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was that in Texas or in Florida?
I was in Florida.
And what kind of charge were you on probation for?
Controlled substance.
You got a drug problem?
I did.
You don't now?
No, sir.
Did you go to rehab, or how did you get rid of that drug problem?
A few times, yes, sir.
A few times? And you believe now that you're no longer struggling with your addiction?
That is correct, Your Honor.
So you know that probation requires effort.
Absolutely.
Requires more effort than being locked up and told when to go to the bathroom, when to eat, when to go to sleep, right? Requires a responsibility, accountability. So it's going to be more difficult to succeed on probation if you don't have the right mindset. You understand that, right?
That is correct.
And you understand that if you violate your conditions of your community supervision, the issue before the court will be not whether or not you possessed controlled substances, methamphetamine, but whether or not you violated your conditions of your community supervision.
Yes, sir.
And if the court finds that you violated a single one of these, the court could assess your punishment in prison up to 2 years. And you understand that state jail in the state of Texas, I'm sure Mr. Sanders has told you this, but I'll remind you, is a day-for-day sentence. There's no parole in state jail. So 2 years, your agreement is that if I will put you on community supervision, that you will do your terms and conditions. So I'm going to uphold my end. I'm going to give you that opportunity. And if you don't seize it and you don't do what you're supposed to, then when you come back, you're looking at a day-for-day sentence up to 2 years.
I understand that, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Berman, you hereby remanded to the custody of the Van Zandt County Community Supervision and Corrections Department so they can carry out the terms and conditions of the sentence. I'm going to have you step forward here with my bailiff to be fingerprinted. After that, report here to Mr. Crawford or Ms. Burns to get additional information. All right, Mr. Sanders, any additional information on, okay, so we were going to take up Mr. Cravey?
Yes, and I sent him the link for the Zoom.
I don't see Mr. Cravey in the court's online waiting room. Do you have anything on the jail docket this afternoon?
Well, I do, Judge, and actually I was going to ask about that. I have court also in Anderson County. I have Jeremy Ward on this afternoon here. It's the first on the revocation, his first setting. I was going to see if I might be able to, if I went over there and got reset notice signed by him, if I could reset it to next Tuesday to the 15th, if that would work for the jail docket that day.
Any objection from the state on that request?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Any objection to the court recalling Mr. Cravey at 1:30 and allowing Mr. Sanders, I mean, you can appear via Zoom.
Okay.
You said you have something in Anderson County?
Yes.
Would you be able to appear via Zoom?
Oh, yes, I can do that then. Yes.
Zoom allows you to be in 2 places at the same time.
It does. It makes it kind of nice.
All right, so the court's going to recall Mr. Cravey at 1:30. And Mr. Sanders, you can appear via Zoom. And if you, so you said Mr. Ward, Jeremy Ward, we'll go ahead on the record at CR 18-385. We'll reset Mr. Ward's motion to revoke on can't do it on the 15th because we're pushing 60 cases on that day. I could do it on the 17th.
Okay, that'd be fine.
Fine.
Yep, that would work.
All right, we'll reset Mr. Ward to December 17th that's an evidentiary day, so we'll do that at 9 a.m.
Okay, all right. And if I'll go ahead and still have him sign reset notice on both of his, though.
Do we anticipate any type of resolution on the 17th?
I think so. I think we should be able to get something worked out. And Judge, back to Mr. Cravey. I sent him the link, but I hadn't gotten any response by email or by text, so I'll check again and just let him know he needs to respond by 1:30. Yes.
Appear by 1:30 via Zoom, or the court's going to issue a warrant for his arrest.
All right, I understand. Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. And we're going to reset Mr. Ward for December 17th at 9 a.m.
Okay.
State, have you had an opportunity to speak with the Community Supervision Department regarding Mr. Manning's client?
Judge, I spoke with Ms. Burns via text, and I think I'm prepared to proceed with the hearing.
Mr. Manning, are you ready?
I'm trying to talk to Commissioner Thomas briefly before we get started.
Okay. I'll recall that case. Do you want to just give him a call? Step out and call, give him a call.
That's right.
All right, Mr. Downs, I'm going to call your case. This is CR 2210, State versus Joel Hinton Downs, and we're set for pretrial today. Mr. Downs, if you can unmute your device so I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you see and hear the court okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Mr. Downs, the first issue we got to take up is your attorney.
I paid him a retainer. It was a $6,000 retainer, but I was only able to give him half at the time, and he was going to accept the other half later. But then I got sick, and so I wasn't able to pay the other half. I still want to retain him, and he knows that. I just need to get back to work and get some stuff done.
Who is it that you're trying to retain?
Bingham.
The attorneys that withdrew?
I still want to retain. Yes. Yeah, he understood that I didn't have the money to pay the other half of the retainer, and that I will later. I couldn't do it at the moment. That's the only reason he withdrew.
So how long are you expecting the court to give you?
Well, I got this virus thing going on, but maybe next week I can get back out. So a couple of weeks maybe, and I can get him retained again.
You feel confident about that? A couple weeks?
I think so. Oh, if we can do 3 weeks, that would be better.
State any position on this issue. The court granted Mr. Bingham's motion to withdraw, and you've heard the reason here today.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I was on the phone with Mr. Manning, and I did not catch the reason why the court granted the motion that Mr. Bingham and Mr. Biggs filed.
Mr. Bingham and Mr. Biggs filed a motion to withdraw and cited that their client, Mr. Joel Downs, our defendant in this case, consented to that. And I believe it was based on their attorney-client relationship regarding finances. And Mr. Downs today has stated to the court that he was not able to fully deposit the full retainer, which caused the motion to withdraw. And Mr. Downs is intending to retain the attorneys who just withdrew, or at least Mr. Bingham. And he says that if given 2 or 3 weeks, he believes he can have the other half of the $6,000 retainer to retain Mr. Bingham.
Sure, Your Honor, the state's okay with that.
So, Mr. Downs, I just want to be clear with you. If the court grants your request for more time today, when we come back, you need to have an attorney on your case.
I understand.
All right, so we can't be in a holding pattern on your criminal case just because you're choosing an attorney that may cost more than you can afford. So
I understand.
So the court's going to expect you to, if you can't retain Mr. Bingham, that you're going to need to retain someone to represent you. Otherwise, the court may examine your bail in this case and determine whether or not that bail is sufficient.
I understand.
Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to set you on January 7th for your attorney status. Since you're not in court today, I can't give you a notice, so this will be the only notice that you receive.
I understand. Thank you, sir.
So we'll see you back on December 7th.
No, shoot, January 7th.
I'm sorry, yes, January 7th at 9 a.m. And you're free to go.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Ms. Beasley, any update on Mr. Carrier?
Yes, Your Honor, he is supposed to be on his way. He was having troubles with his.
He just walked in. Mr. Carrier, if you'll step up to the podium. All right, Ms. Beasley, this is cause number CR 2074, State versus Michael David Carrier, and we're set for docket call today.
Correct, Your Honor. We have been able to resolve the case with Ms. Heisel, and we are asking for a setting for a plea in January.
All right, the court will set Mr. Carrier then for plea. Just a moment. Do you have any conflict dates, Ms. Beasley, in January?
I think the court's already set me for January 7th.
Okay. Court will set Mr. Carrier then for plea on January 7th at 9 a.m. Is this for time or for work?
Yes, sir. He has a little bit more county jail time he has to do.
All right, so then let's do this. Let's set that at 1:30. We'll set that at 1:30. And Mr. Carrier, I'll have you report. Is the agreement going to be for Mr. Carrier to go into custody that day?
Sir?
Is the plea agreement for Mr. Carrier to go into custody that same day?
We have not discussed whether it's going to be that day or a few days right after, immediately after that, but we can set it at 1:30, Judge.
Well, if he's not going to go into custody, I don't want to burden the jail with it. If he is going to go into custody, then I don't want to burden the transport staff in the morning.
I would have to talk to my client, but I believe he'll be going in custody. You can ask him, Judge. I can't see him on my phone, but you can ask him if he's going in that day or a few days later.
Well, what does the state have a position on this?
Your Honor, the state would strongly prefer that he turn himself in on that day. However, we would not withdraw our plea negotiation if he needed to wait till that next weekend. But we are resetting it a month, so he should have plenty of time to work his business out.
Okay.
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Carrier, I'm going to have you report to the jail at 1:30 on January 7th. And then I would just ask the state and defense to address Mr. Carrier's delinquencies on his pretrial release. He's deficient in his attorney fees, his payments for his supervision. In fact, he's never made a payment. He's $450 delinquent to the department that's been supervising him. The court's not revoked his bail. He's not made any payments towards your indigent fees, Ms. Beasley. So I would ask that those be addressed during the plea. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. All right, Mr. Carrier, bailiff's going to bring you this form. It's just a notice of appearance saying you're going to be back at January 7th at the Van Zandt County Justice Center. And bailiff, let me write that on there. Sorry. meant to do that. I forgot. All right, Mr. Carrier, you'll sign that notice. We'll give you a copy. You'll be free to go.
I need to see.
Oh, Ms. Beasley, I'm going to send Mr. Carrier to speak with Ms. Burns.
Yes, Your Honor.
He needs to see him, and she may address these issues with him on money. All right, Mr. Carrier, I'm going to have you come over here and see Ms. Burns, and she'll give you additional information. When she's done with you, then you'll be free to go. All right, Ms. Beasley, do you have anything this afternoon?
No, Your Honor, I have one other client that's on this morning's docket, Stephen Flores. He's supposed to be appearing by Zoom.
Haven't seen, is Mr. Flores, yeah, there's Mr. Flores there. Okay, he's there. And if you can't see him, Ms. Beasley, you may have to swipe left or right on your phone to change your view. But he's present. I see him. This is cause number CR 20211, State versus Stephen Flores. We're set for pretrial.
Correct, Your Honor. If I may, we have received the discovery and been able to go through that. I've actually been in negotiations with Ms. Heisel, and we agree, I believe, that we need additional time so that we can have some in-person conversation in order to resolve this case. We do believe that we will be able to resolve it with a plea. I just need time for us to be able to have some in-person conversations with that. And with the holidays fixing to start, and honestly, it gets busy for both the state and defense about that time period, I would ask for a later setting at the end of January or 1st of February so that she and I can get caught up on the other stuff as well as have our meetings that we need to have to resolve it.
So you don't need any additional time on pretrial. You just need
No,
additional
Your Honor.
time, perhaps on docket call.
That would be fine, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, then the court will set Mr. Flores then for docket call on January 26th at 9 a.m.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Flores, if you'll raise your hand to acknowledge that you understand, and the record will reflect that Mr. Flores is appearing online and has acknowledged by raising his hand that he is due back in the court on January 26th at 9 a.m. All right, if there's nothing further, Mr. Flores, you're free to go. And Ms. Beasley, I do need you to also address with Mr. Flores, he's delinquent $120 in his court-ordered attorney fee reimbursements.
How much, Judge?
$120.
I will, Judge.
All right, thank you, Ms. Beasley. All right, you're free to go. We'll see you back on January 26th.
May I be excused, Your Honor? I believe that's all I have.
Yes, ma'am. And I do, okay, and I do see you on this afternoon's docket. However, I have a recollection that you've told me and I've forgotten. Jake Burton?
We've already resolved that, Judge. Judge Winters did that plea, I believe, on November the 18th.
November the 18th. Okay. I just didn't take it off my docket. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Flores, you're free to go. I'm going to remove you from the hearing at this time.
May I be excused, Your Honor? I think that's all I have.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Beasley.
Thank you.
Mr. Manning, are you ready at all, or you still need some more time?
I've spoken to Mr. Cox. I believe what we're going to do is have him read bond custody today. We're going to try to meet him on Thursday.
You ready for me to recall it?
If we can, just have just a moment. He's writing out some instructions for us.
All right, looks like we are waiting to hear, let's see, Johnny Cooper failed to appear.
My understanding is that he is still in custody in an out-of-state facility.
Oh, where's that at? Do you know?
Last time I checked, he was in Arkansas. But he may have moved to a facility in Oklahoma.
Are these state facilities or federal facilities?
I'm not sure, Judge.
He was in Sebastian County, Arkansas at one time.
That's correct.
We're going to recall Jason Cravey at 1:30. And looks like we're still waiting to hear from Miss Jeannie Hughes. And Mr. Justin Williams. So those would be the last three. State, do you show anything different? I see Ms. Thompson has two clients, Jeannie Hughes, Justin Williams.
Judge, I may have missed this. Mr. Vela with Mr. Sanders, was he taken care of earlier?
Yes, he was. Let's see here. I've got no pretrial motion set on docket call 126.
Okay. Then I think we're all on the same page then.
We're ready, Mr. Hall.
All right, Mr. Hall, you can just stay where you're at. Court call CR 20251, State versus Michael Carl Hall. And we haven't even taken up the case for pretrial, have we?
Yes, Judge, I made an announcement. I believe that I had reviewed discovery on 12/2. I had requested to meet with my client, hadn't been able to at this point in time. And so there's no contested pretrial matters at this juncture.
All right, the court, before the court sets, you indicated earlier that you and the state may have an agreement on a disposition.
Yes, I believe Mr. Cox and I have reached an agreement.
What is that proposed agreement?
Your Honor, in light of the failed UA this morning and the admission that I'm under the impression he made to Mr. Crawford, Mr. Manning and I have agreed to double the bond in this case. Additionally, we would ask the court set it for a plea on Thursday, as we've reached a plea agreement in this case as well.
Okay. Mr. Hall, the court's going to find that your bond is insufficient on the grounds that you have violated the conditions of pretrial release by testing for controlled substances. The court is going to double the amount of bail in your case and set you for a plea on Thursday, December 10th at 1:30. Do we anticipate that Mr. Hall is going to remain in custody until that time?
Yes, Judge. I have advised him that would be the best thing to do.
All right. Has he signed his notice of appearance?
He has, Judge.
All right. So, Mr. Hall, you're going to be taken in time, and we'll see you on Thursday at 1:30, and you can speak with Mr. Manning about the resolution of your case on that day.
Judge, I believe that concludes my business. May I be excused?
Do you have anything on this afternoon's docket, Mr. Manning?
I do not. Mr. Evan Evan Crocker has retained Mr. Nolan White and Mr. Jeff White. I believe that motion has already been filed, and I filed my bill on that as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir. You may be excused.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Ms. Thompson, any update on your clients? They're the last two.
Your Honor, I have not heard anything yet. I don't know how I would know they made it there unless the bailiff called him in the hallway.
Yeah, there's no one present in the courtroom, and there's no one present in the court's online waiting room. Well, I'll have the bailiff check the hallway in just a moment. He's going to be tied up. Mr. Crawford, would you assist the court? Would you go call the names Jeannie Hughes and Justin Williams? Here you go. Jeannie Hughes and Justin Williams. I'll have. We're just going to check to see if they're here, not for Justin Williams and Jeannie Hughes, just to see if perhaps they're in the courthouse somewhere. Yes, and we reset her to January 7th. And if that, yes. Ms. Thompson.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Hughes was in the hallway with her bondsman, and she's present now. Ms. Hughes, if you'll step up to that middle podium, please. This is cause number CR20-216, State versus Jeannie K. Hughes, and we're set for pretrial today, Ms. Thompson.
Yes, Your Honor. We do not have any pretrial matters at this time, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Hughes then will be set for docket call, and I believe I've already set you today for January 7th, Ms. Thompson. And so court will also set Ms. Hughes on that same day for docket call. And Ms. Hughes will understand that on that day, the court would be expecting to hear whether or not there's going to be a resolution in this case or a request for bench trial or a jury trial.
Yes, Your Honor.
I've enlisted the assistance of Mr. Clay Nicholas to do our notice of appearance here.
January 7th, Judge.
January 7th at 9 a.m., yes. Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate that. receive that yellow copy, I need you to report to Miss Burns here. She's got some additional things to discuss with you. And Miss Thompson, you may already be aware of this, but the court has gotten a message that Mr. Williams indicated he was 25 minutes away. So perhaps you provided that to the court, I'm not sure, but I was just handed that. The court's going to know that it's 11 o'clock at this time.
No, sir, I just knew he was en route. I hadn't gotten any messages.
Okay, so I'm just going to stand in recess until he gets here. So estimated time, probably 15, 20 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
So I'm just going to leave the session up. If you'll just close your cameras, mute, and then you'll see me hop back on when I know he's here.
the offer. So I don't know what to do at this point. I don't know either. All you do is tell them if he didn't call and doesn't take what you want, you can't do nothing. Danny, can you hear me?
Yeah, Ann, I got you.
Hey, you get a chance, give me a call back. I'm just trying to see if you got paperwork that was scanned in to you on Mr. Hunter. Not
And
today, it was scanned.
say that one more time.
Scanned it back. I scanned in some paperwork, some affidavits that was given to me by Mr. Hunter a couple of weeks ago. And I just would like to see if you got that information.
Did you email it?
Yes, and it was scanned.
Let me see.
Did you get this?
Yes, I have a man. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's all I want to know.
Mr. Williams, if you'll step up to the middle podium, this is CR 2276, right there, sir. State versus Justin Wayne Williams, and we're set for pretrial today, Ms. Thompson.
Yes, Your Honor, we don't have any pretrial matters at this time, Your Honor.
All right, and the court has had Mr. Williams meet with the pretrial release department, and he has signed his conditions of pretrial release and has been provided a copy of those today in open court. Court is going to set Mr. Williams for docket call hearing on January 7th at 9 a.m. So, Mr. Williams, I'm going to give you a notice of appearance form. Bailiff's going to bring this to you. Sign this. It's going to have your reset date of January 7th on there. You're to be back in the courtroom on January 7th at 9 a.m. Do you understand? Sure.
Your Honor, if I may, I'd like for Mr. Williams to give me a call after court today.
Okay, I sure will do that.
All right, Mr. Williams, it's important for you to make sure that you're in the courtroom on the date and time when ordered. Okay, you're the last one here today, and we're waiting. I could have easily just had you had a warrant issued for you. I didn't want to do that. All right, so next time on January 7th at 9 a.m., I expect you to be in the courtroom and ready when the case is called. Do you understand?
I was actually on the phone, thinking I was under the impression it was a video court date, and I was on there waiting until 9:45, and then I got a call, and the attorney said, "Well, they need to see you in person," and I didn't get the message yesterday, or I guess they said they sent a message to me.
Okay. Well, on January 7th, I want you to be in the courtroom at 9 a.m. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, you're free to go.
Thanks a lot.
Do you need? I'm sorry, Mr. Williams, come back here and see. Yes, and it's just be. All right, Ms. Thompson.
Your Honor, that's all I have to this afternoon, sir.
All right, thank you, Ms. Thompson. Appreciate y'all sticking around for Mr. Williams.
And Judge, before we let go of you, Mr. Cooper, did we officially reset that for status regarding his custody, or did we figure something out? What are we doing with that one?
Let me tell you what, let me stop the pause the recording. Well, it's actually already paused.